Live from Fargo and serving you on TV, online, and on the go. This is Valley News Live at 5.
The Twin Cities is now being hit by the powerful storm that dropped several inches of snow throughout the valley. Travel conditions around the FM area have been severely impacted due to the poor road conditions. To see if there's any light at the end of the tunnel, let's send it over to Hutch for the very latest in your No 8 weather planner. Hutch?
All right, Katie, improvement is on its way, but what a wallop of snow the area had. Justin Fanfarelli and the storm team was forecasting 18 inches or more in many locations, and take a look at this. 12 to 18 in numerous spots. Ellendale hit with 26, Lemoore 24, and how about Edgeley at 15 inches of snow. Here in the FM area, reports of anywhere from 11.5 to 13.5 inches of snow. Grand Forks likewise. So still snowing. Central Minnesota, a couple of light bands. Bemidji northward towards Lake of the Woods County, heading into northern Clearwater County in the Bagley area. Otherwise, just a few flurries. Most of North Dakota snow-free, minus a few light snow showers. Temperatures for almost all of us are in the teens, but we do have 20s to the west in Devil's Lake and Point South. Hey, it's still windy enough that snow does not want to stay where you put it, so it does look like you'll be having that wind continuing tonight with temperatures in the teens and wind chills down near zero to just below zero throughout the evening. So it will have a bite. Bundle up. Look at them working on the snow there at our camera location here at Luther Family Ford. They are getting all those cars cleared off. I know my back is sore from clearing snow. I'll have details on what you can expect in your hour-by-hour forecast here, Katie, in just a moment, but there is significant improvement.
All right. Well, thank you, Hutch. Minnesota State Patrol says there have been several crashes, spinouts, and jackknife semis due to the varying road conditions across the state. A post from the Minnesota State Patrol Twitter page said officials are reporting 141 crashes statewide from 5 a.m. to 1:30 this afternoon. 13 of those crashes with injury. There have also been about 164 vehicle spinouts and 11 jackknife semis. The good news, there have been no serious or fatal crashes. It's a warning many of you are used to hearing once a winter storm starts to blow, pleading drivers to stay off of roads and hunker down at home instead. But it's also a warning not everyone listens to. And as Valley News Team's crime and safety reporter Bailey Hurley found, that disregard had several law enforcement officers around the valley very frustrated.
From jackknife semis to stranded cars to fixing broken barricades, the last 48 hours has been nonstop for law enforcement officers like Clay County Sheriff Mark Empting.
I don't remember a storm like this.
But it's also been frustrating as drivers decided to brave the storm despite the dozens of warnings from every city, county, and state official.
And it's things like that you shake your head at and what are you people thinking?
Empting says in rescue and emergency situations, county plows and graders are needed to escort first responders to the incident. And in some cases, officers also tote these along in case it's the only way to transport a victim to safety.
This is obviously dangerous.
And as plows started hitting the pavement Monday morning, more drivers decided to see just how far they could make it, despite a no travel advisory issued and many roads still untouched.
Look at the road. It's terrible. It's not good for people to be out in at all. As we're sitting here, the road is closed and there's somebody coming up behind us right now.
Empting says his officers were placed all throughout the county Sunday, making it more time effective if and when incidents occurred. Adding his office responded to around 50 weather-related calls.
They didn't have one gripe or complaint yesterday when they were out working. They were just out there doing what they needed to do to ensure that everybody was going to make it home safe.
And while the worst is finally over, Empting says it's all about preparing for the next big snow, but also knows some things just won't ever change.
I don't think there's anything I can say to convince people really just to stay home when it's like this.
In Clay County, Bailey Hurley, Valley News Live.
Empting says his officers can issue citations for bad weather drivers, but says instead drivers could be getting a bill for the services required to rescue them. Snow and wind made for massive drifts in the region, including at Central Cass School in Castleton. Here is a picture of what Central Cass looked like this morning. The Sheriff's Department posted this picture showing a drift swallowing the school. The drift is higher than the building. The heavy snow is already causing some structural concerns in the area. This deck collapsed in the area around 25th Street and 24th Avenue South in Fargo. It might not be a bad idea to rake off your roofs and remove snow from your decks, even if you don't plan on using them in the winter. Mostly rubble is what's left behind after a massive fire broke out in the middle of the blizzard. Fargo Fire got the call around 7 last night about a building on fire in the 3300 block of 15th Street South. That's a strip of businesses behind the 32nd Avenue Hornbacher store. There's no word of any injuries or the cause, but firefighters had their hands full because of the storm. This is the video of the scene. Fighting the fire sent a lot of water into the streets, and fire crews say to watch out for ice. Police in Meeker County, Minnesota are investigating a situation surrounding the discovery of a body. Officials believe the man was killed somewhere else and his body was dumped along the road in Kingston Township. That's just south of St. Cloud. The body was taken to a nearby medical examiner for identification and an autopsy. The Secretary of State Mike Pompeo is headed to Eastern Europe this week, and his first stop is Ukraine, a country at the center of the president's impeachment. Skylar Henry has more details from the White House.
Secretary of State Mike Pompeo is headed to Ukraine. Officials say Pompeo will meet with Ukraine President Volodymyr Zelensky later this week to reaffirm the United States' relationship with the country.
Leaders around the world understand that President Trump and his Secretary of State are focused on the missions that we've set out.
The New York Times is reporting that Pompeo and two others tried to talk President Trump out of withholding military aid to Ukraine in August, with John Bolton telling the president this is in America's interest. Mr. Trump responded, Ukraine is a corrupt country. We are pissing away our money.
The new reporting shows that there were serious concerns raised by Trump administration officials about the propriety and legality of what the president was doing.
Eventually, the military aid was released to help Ukraine in its war against Russia. President Trump spoke with Russian President Vladimir Putin from his Florida home on Sunday. Putin has insisted that it was Ukraine and not Russia that interfered in the 2016 presidential election, a claim that President Trump has repeated.
Article 1 is adopted.
Democrats impeached President Trump because they claim he withheld the military aid in order to have Ukraine investigate former Vice President Joe Biden and his son. After the impeachment in the House, he now faces a trial in the Senate. Skylar Henry, CBS News, the White House.
The Senate has left the month of January open on the calendar to deal with the trial, but it cannot begin until House Speaker Nancy Pelosi delivers the articles of impeachment to the Senate. Officials said the U.S. military carried out airstrikes yesterday against an Iraqi militia group in response to the killing of a U.S. civilian contractor in a rocket attack on an Iraqi military base. A top Iraqi militia leader warned of a strong response against U.S. forces following the airstrike overnight. At least 25 people were killed. Video showed the aftermath of the strike on the militia group headquarters in Iraq. Democratic Congressman John Lewis announced he has been diagnosed with stage 4 pancreatic cancer. The news is rocking many on both sides of the aisle. In a statement released yesterday evening, Lewis said the cancer was discovered during tests following a routine medical visit. The 79-year-old vowed to fight the cancer with the same courage with which he fought for civil rights in the 1960s.